Stay tuned to learn how plaintiff lawyers are policing landlord abuse cases.
Welcome to the YouTube channel of Michael J. Swanson. Michael is the author of How David Beats Goliath and is the CEO of Advocate Capital. And now, here's Michael.
Sadly, many landlords take advantage of tenants who are in a difficult situation. And to help us learn how that happens and what can be done about it, I've invited Ron Kramer to join us. He's a plaintiff lawyer from Utah. Ron, thanks for being here.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
You were telling me about this case earlier where a landlord was taking advantage of folks, who had lost their job and really a terrible thing. And tell us about that and how plaintiff lawyers can help.
Sure. So I've been doing sexual harassment cases probably for a good 20 years, and usually it involves sexual harassment in the workplace. You have a supervisor or even a coworker who have sexually harassed or even sexually assaulted another coworker. But you also have situations where you have what's called a hostile work environment, right? Where you have maybe a supervisor propositioning a subordinate, trying to come onto them. They brush up against them. They talk inappropriately, things like that. And that's not allowed in the workplace. We have sexual harassment laws. We have what's called Title VII that prohibits sexual harassment in the workplace, at least for employers with 15 or more employees. People with less than that sort of get a little bit of a break, unfortunately, under the federal law. But we also see similar protections with regards to landlord-tenant relations, because we have this thing called the Fair Housing Act, FHA, which is administered by HUD. And there's provisions in it that require a landlord to sort of be like an employer. They can't sexually harass their tenants, right? It's against the rules of fair housing. And if they do violate those rules, then the tenant can bring a claim against the landlord for violation of that rule.
Interesting.
A lot of states have parallel statutes, rules with the federal rules, but the federal rules are pretty clear that a landlord is not allowed to do that. Otherwise, they can get in trouble with the federal government. And that's what happened in this case. We had a landlord who was taking advantage of a situation where a young mom with 2 kids was out of work due to COVID issues. And she was having difficulty paying her rent, and she fell behind in her rent and, let the landlord know. And the landlord in return says, well, you scratch my back and I'll scratch your back. And he started propositioning her and asking to meet up with her once a month, and was sending her inappropriate text messages and saying, he shot himself in the foot with this damaging evidence, which is great for a plaintiff's lawyer, right? I mean, it's like a sexual harassment case in a bag, when either a landlord or an employer or a predator does this kind of stuff. But he did that, and this violated federal housing rules, and he was so bold to tell her and say, hey, look, if you don't go along with this, then I have no choice but to find somebody else to live there. And she let him know, I want this to be just landlord tenant, professional. And what happened next? Then he started the eviction process. Is what happened next. So she actually complained to the fair housing people, and they started an investigation. And she contacted me shortly thereafter. And so I was involved with the discussion with the HUD people. And so what we have here is a landlord who violated these rules and was on the verge of evicting this woman. And we were able to broker sort of a truce, allow her to get out of the unit because the landlord wanted her out. We were able to get her more time. There was a settlement in this case. But I didn't know that was coming. I was actually ready to file suit against this landlord, knowing that it may not be a very profitable case. But I wanted to send a message to this landlord, to other landlords, that this is not acceptable.
Right.
And I see this as one way that plaintiffs' lawyers can police the landlord-tenant environment or maybe the workplace we have the ability to do that through these lawsuits. A lot of people think lawyers are predatory because they file lawsuits, but guess what? Lawsuits help keep the workplace safe. They can help keep the landlord tenant arena safe, and that's what I was hoping to do in this case as well. But we were able to reach a settlement, and so no lawsuit was filed. Um, but I was thinking about this case, and this happened to my client, and I was thinking, who else has this happened to? There's got to be a lot of women,
I'm
uh,
sure.
in particular, that this has happened to, particularly single moms. I think they're more vulnerable to this kind of thing.
Hmm.
And uh, she was on the verge of getting evicted. She was just like less than a week away. And what she told me was, I should have just slept with this guy,
Oh,
and I wouldn't have to move out. My kids would have a roof over their heads.
isn't that terrible?
Um, that's what she was wishing she had done, was just to go along with this landlord's advances to
Hmm.
keep her living situation stable for her family.
What a shame. It's a tragedy that that has to happen. And I think a lot of people think, well, the police will enforce that or the government will
They won't.
protect people, but it's plaintiff lawyers.
So yeah, I mean, the HUD, to their credit, they'll get involved and they'll investigate. But the plaintiff lawyers, I think, get more of the credit in terms of really sending a message to whether it's a landlord, whether it's an employer, whether it's a manufacturer of a product, that this
Yeah,
type of conduct is unacceptable.
right.
And these people don't want to get sued, right? They say
Sure.
these lawyers, they're coming after us, these predatory lawyers. I guess I better make this product safer. I guess I better, get rid of the sexual harassment in the workplace. I guess I better do this or do that.
Right.
And the things that they're being forced to do by the lawyers are things that we as society want. We want our society to be safer.
Yes.
So plaintiffs lawyers have a unique ability to make the workplace, make society, make the roads, you name it, safer because
Yes.
of the threat of civil litigation and because of what happens in civil litigation. So you hear about these verdicts, this crazy verdict here and crazy verdict there. Well, guess what? The industry pays attention to those verdicts,
Exactly.
and it gets published in their journals and in their publications, and it's like, here's what happened here. To keep this from happening to you guys, here's what you need to do.
You
Right.
got to train somebody. Yeah, it cracks me up how people think there are too many frivolous lawsuits. Well, a lawsuit is a civilized form of dispute resolution,
Yes.
which beats the alternative. And I love the concept of the jury trial, the Seventh Amendment, because it's so democratic, right? This is a panel of community members who come
Correct.
together and hear the dispute and say, here's what we are and are not going to allow to have happen in our
That's right.
community. It's so democratic. It's
Yes.
awesome. So it's not just a judge making a decision. It's not the lawyer, right? The lawyer has to present the facts. It's the jury that gets to make those decisions. Well,
And
Ron, thank you
yeah,
for the work that you and other plaintiff
you're
lawyers
welcome.
do to make the world a safer, better, and more just place. And we look forward to talking to you again soon.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Send your questions or comments to Michael at mike@howdavidbeatsgoliath.com.